Some say the corporate environment is a war zone in suits, and others say it is just a game. You either learn to play or you get played. Which is it? Can you really climb the corporate ladder without crawling on your integrity? Today, we want to answer these questions. Can you influence without scheming? Can you stand out without selling out? My name is Olaoluwa Awe, the Newz lady. Joining me is a man who has seen it all from the HR lens, a leadership coach and the founder of HR with M. I'm talking about Mr. Emmanuel Michael. Good afternoon. Welcome to Directions on Lagos Talks 91.3, sir.
Good afternoon, Olua. Thank you for having me on Directions.
The topic for today's conversation really is climbing without crawling. Yes, if you want to really get things done in your office environment, how can you climb without crawling? But later on, we're going to play a game, influence or manipulation. It's as simple as that. I'll be asking him some questions. I'll be painting some real relatable office scenarios. And Mr. Emmanuel Michael will be telling us if it is influencing or manipulation. So let us start with this. Is it possible within the office space to really get up the ladder without sucking up, without doing eye service? What is influence and what is manipulation within the office environment?
Okay, so the long or short answer, the short answer is that yes, you can climb without sucking up. Okay, so there is a difference between influence and manipulation. And just like the topic that we are dealing with today, it's at the heart of career growth. Everyone wants to grow. And you will realize, I believe that we've often, or you have also heard the saying that it's not what you know, but who you know, right? Sometimes you have to make that kind of statement. So, yeah. But the truth is that how you manage relationship can either elevate or expose you. So what I want to do today is to try to draw that line, okay? Let's draw the fine line, fine but critical line between what we mean by ethical influence and destructive manipulation. So you see, I've added something to you, the two words that you gave me. So influence is ethical, manipulation is destructive, okay? So the difference between the two, when we talk about influence is the ability to affect others' thoughts, their behaviors, or decision through credibility, trust, and respect. It's about inspiring, not imposing. Okay, so those are the key words that you need to know when we talk about influence. When we now talk about manipulation, on the other hand, manipulation is an attempt to control, you want to control the outcome. And how do you want to control? You control the outcome by using deceit, by using fear, or even emotional pressure. You see someone come to you and they want something from you. They know they've not done well, then they just come and then sit in front of you. The next thing, the person starts shedding tears. They're trying to, play that pity party to manipulate you to just agree to what it is that they are asking for, even though they know they are not asking the right thing or they've not done the proper thing and they're likely going to be sanctioned. So manipulation is often subtle, but is rooted in self-interest. The person is just looking for an opportunity to benefit themselves. So while both either influence or manipulation may achieve similar or the same results, one thing that is clear is that one of them builds sustainable success, and that is influence. So influence builds sustainable success. You know that when you manipulate someone to get something done for you, it doesn't last forever. After a while, if that person is not there, it means you're not able to ascend, you're not able to climb. But if what got you to where you are is your credibility, it's your ability to deliver, is the trust that this person is capable of carrying out the job. You notice that the person will continue to rise irrespective of who is in charge at that particular time. So that's for me the difference between the two. And the other thing I also want to add is that in order to tell how to tell them apart, for you to know, okay, this is manipulation and this is influence. Okay? Influence. Look at the intent. What is the intent, the motive behind? So influence seeks for mutual benefits. So when we talk about influence, I'm looking for the good of the other person. I'm also looking for the good of myself. So if it's an organization, I'm looking for the good of the organization. I'm also looking for the good uh, for myself in that organization. But manipulation is one-sided. It seeks
Mm.
only personal gain at the expense of others. You notice there are situations where I say you need to put some people down so that you can climb, you know? So putting people down so you can climb is basically manipulation. And then the other thing that we also need to look out for is transparency. When you talk about influence, influence is upfront. There is no hidden motive, you know. Influence is upfront. Why? Manipulators, they will give you just a small bit of information. They won't tell you. I've had situations where someone wants me to approve something and they come and tell me just a part of the story, the part that favors them, or
Wow.
color the information. So they won't give me the complete picture. They give me half of the picture and then I make a decision, only for me to realize later on that the information wasn't complete and that decision is in error, you know.
Mm.
And then I have to call in the person and say, oh, why did you, I asked for this information and you just gave me a bit and I made a decision based on that, only for me to go out there and realize that there is more. So that is what manipulators do. They withhold and distort information. Then the other key element is trust. Okay? Influence builds relationship, while manipulation breaks relationship. Okay?
Mm.
So those are the three key elements you look out for to determine, is this influence, is this manipulation? Intent, transparency, and trust.
Are there clear-cut example of things that people do within the office space that you can say, now this is manipulation? Now, when people do this, this is manipulation. I know you mentioned one, but when it comes to influencing as well, when people do this, this is how to influence. How exactly do people go about these two different strategies in the office environment?
Okay, so when you have a colleague come to you and the person comes to gossip in order to divide, you know, create problems between two people, or takes credit for the works that others have done,
Mm.
or put some sort of emotional pressure on a supervisor. Like I gave example of someone who maybe they didn't do well. Let's give a situation now. Maybe the person didn't show up at work, and then they know that their pay is going to be deducted for not showing up at work, and then the person comes to you. Normally, they know that if they're not going to show up at work, let's say, for instance, either they lost someone or they're sick, they need to call ahead of time, get their HOD to be aware that this is the situation. If it's a sick issue, the person goes to the hospital, and when they are resuming, they come with a sick paper, right? But they
Mm-hmm.
now come back to work, they didn't bring anything, and then the person comes to you, and you're now, maybe he or she has been queried, and they are not happy with the query. The person comes to me to say, I want to explain what happens. And instead of focusing on the part that they did not follow the procedure or process to report their absence properly, they
Mm.
now go and say, you know, everybody does it in the department. My HOD is not just happy with me, so I'm being victimized. And maybe because I don't speak their language, I'm not part of them, there's a clique there. So just to
Mm.
make me feel for them and then begin to pity them. So that is manipulation, you know. So you're trying to put some sort of emotional pressure on the supervisor to get something that will benefit you, knowing fully well that you've not done well. So
Mm.
that's one way of trying to manipulate,
Manipulate.
get your way up there. And then when things are done in the department, you take credit for even things that you didn't do. Uh, maybe your colleague helps get the job done, which is actually assigned to you, or you take credit for it, and then you go showcase it as if it's your own job, instead of saying that I had help from XYZ to get this job done. And then you keep getting all the recognition, and the people who are actually doing the work are now grumbling, you know. So
Mm.
that's manipulation. And then situations whereby everybody who is working with you, they are not good. They are all bad. They don't know how to do the work. You are the only one who knows how to do the job. That's manipulation on its own. Then when we talk about influence, okay, for influence, you will notice the practical example will be one who goes out of their way to help others get job done. When there's a challenge, maybe somebody is given a task and they're struggling with it, they help the person provide information. They just say, it's not my job. Because it's not my job, I won't contribute, I won't do anything. Let them
Okay.
continue to do it by themselves. So that is influence, helping to influence. And then people around will see that you're always providing support. Whenever the support, help is needed, you are available. And then there are new people who have just joined the team. You always volunteer to be the one to guide them so that they can, you know, start on a very strong footing, understanding exactly what is going on. So the leaders within the organization, the managers will begin to notice that this person is always available to mentor new people. And because you keep doing that, it shows that you are exhibiting leadership qualities, and that will help you to begin to grow or climb, as we say, the topic for today, begin to climb without crawling within that particular organization. So
Now,
the sad truth is that manipulative behaviors, okay, often get rewarded in the short term. So when you manipulate in the short term, you get rewarded, but eventually it will collapse under the weight of lost trust and broken relationship. Because as you continue manipulating, you notice that the relationship will keep breaking left and right. And after a while, you are alone. Nobody is there to support or to be with you.
One of the reasons why people find it very difficult to show that initiative to help new people adjust to the office environment, to help colleagues do their work, is that there are times when you don't seem to get reward for this kind of work. You are not getting extra pay. It's even seeming really harder than the job you're supposed to do. There's also people who don't like to do this kind of thing because they now begin to get some sort of judgment from other members of, the team, where you begin to feel like, I hope they're not going to think I'm doing too much. Hope they're not going to say I'm directly coming for their jobs. Hope they're not going to think I am making them look incapable of doing their jobs. How do you address this kind of feeling, or situations where you outrightly have people telling you that we see what you're doing, you're trying to act like you know better, you're trying to act like our bosses? How do you handle that?
Yeah, so I think for that is a function of the culture that the organization wants to project or create for the people that work there. So I've seen so many like that. We have situations where somebody resumed newly and they have a way, things that the people who were there before said it's not possible. And then these things are now becoming possible with this new guy. And they tell the guy, you just resume. This is the way we've been doing this thing. So you need to slow down the work. This job takes us X number of hours to do, maybe 3-4 hours. Now you want to be doing it in 1 hour. So they think they need to give us more tasks to carry out. We need to slow down. So we've had situations like that. So the question will be, what sort of policies has the organization put in place to address this situation? So there has to be that awareness, okay, from time to time, where the leadership, the HR team of the organization continues to reinforce the need for effective, efficient, and enhanced performance from the people, okay? If they all know that from time to time, people's performance will be monitored, and we expect that what your best of yesterday is not good for today. Today needs to be better than yesterday. So that will begin to send that signal within the organization that we are watching out for people who can contribute more than they are used to contributing previously. So, and if anyone faces, that automatically moves into this realm of bullying and harassment, because they're harassing the new person, bullying the new person to conform, to the old ways of doing things. So there has to be a channel available to ensure that we can address such grievances. If someone feels intimidated, feels harassed, feels bullied, feel pressured to do things the way the old order has been doing it, then they should have a way to be able to express their view. And when they express the view, okay, to a higher authority, that higher authority should be able to address the situation without necessarily mentioning the name of this particular employee who has come to escalate the issue. So that's one way to address it. And then when people do well, recognize them in the presence of everyone and encourage others to also emulate that this is the kind of conduct standard and conduct that we want to recognize within the organization, and then show how it aligns with the core value of that particular organization. So if it's part of the core value, show that anyone who exhibits this core value will be rewarded. So what will then happen is that this one loner who is now putting in their best will become the role model for all the others, and those other ones will have to just begin to chip in and be forced to follow. But it's a function of how the leadership of that organization wants to run. So they will be the one that will either enable good performance or encourage people to become manipulators within the organization.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Michael. And if I understand you clearly, you are saying that if you start to influence within the office environment and you begin to get some enemies along the line, it is not enough reason for you to stop or to be discouraged.
Yes, you have to forge ahead. However, the organization must provide support for people like that.
I want us to quickly talk about the concept of eye service within the office environment, because some people see it as a strategy. I mean, office politics is office politics. Here, everyone has to play it. I mean, if you're not playing it, you're going to be played, right? So if you have identified, something nice that you would like to do, maybe to your colleagues, with your colleagues, or to your boss, or with your boss, that works. Would you call that eye service? What exactly is eye service? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Okay, so eye service is similar to the manipulation that we're talking about. When we talk about eye service, you only do something when you know people are watching you. That's when you
Mm.
try to show off. But when people are not there, no, you relax. Let's say the boss, when the boss is around, you are busy working, so the boss can see that you are activity driven, you are busy on your desk. But as soon as the boss steps out, then you relax, you start chit-chatting. So that's eye service, right?
So
And
just to be clear, eye service is
yeah,
not you necessarily being extra nice to the people
no,
around you or to your
no,
boss.
no, that's
Okay.
not eye service. Eye service is trying to show that you are busy, doing something nice, working very hard because someone is watching or looking, okay? Or maybe your
Mm.
boss is there, you want to impress the boss. That is eye service. When the boss is not there, you do the complete opposite. So that's what I define as eye service. However, if you find something that you think will be good, so whether the boss is present or the boss is absent, you continue to do your work as expected, as required. Then it means that that person is a diligent worker. And then one other thing, if you've identified something that needs to be done, which will be good for the organization, how do you go about it? Because you want to make sure that collaboration exists. It's always nice to share the idea, right? What you can do is, you've identified the problem, you have a solution. You can try to find out from your peers, have they seen this particular problem? If they
Mm-hmm.
have seen the problem, do they have an idea or suggestions of what we can do to improve the problem? You have a solution, yes, but you
Okay.
want to get the buy-in of everyone. And then in that conversation, you notice that everybody will begin to suggest their own ideas. And somehow, you might be lucky, someone might suggest an idea that is closely related to what you have in mind. Maybe it's just a
Okay.
slight modification that you need to make, and then
Mm.
it's done. Then you guys collectively agree to get it done. So you see, you have something in mind which you want to address, but you've been able to carry everyone along, and we've all now taken it as if it's our collective idea, but it's your own idea that has been championed through the collaboration of everyone within the team. So that's another way of getting things done within the organization, where people will not see you as being the only one bringing the idea. But you can highlight a challenge, allow people to contribute to providing the solution, and then we all run with it. It becomes something that is owned by all of us and not one person's idea.
Mm. All right. I mean, that is one safe way to push ideas within an organization without attracting too many enemies to yourself, because then you make it a team thing. Everyone feels carried along. You're not just doing you. You're also being a team player. And speaking of eye service, because we've seen situations in the office environment where eye services are rewarded even by the bosses and the managers. And it makes certain people who also do a lot of work within the organization feel like, why is my own productivity not rewarded? We have been going through the laws of power and how to apply them in the office environment. And one of the things which we talked about is you have to be seen as doing your job. So what's the difference between eye service and you being intentional about being seen doing your job?
Okay, so I said something that seeing doing your job,
Mm-hmm.
you should be seen doing your job when someone is uh, physically observing you, or even when you are not observed. Okay? So
Okay.
when nobody is observing you, you should be seen doing that particular job. And how do we see you doing the job? By the productivity, the outcome that we are getting out of the job, or whatever task that has been assigned to you. That is the major difference, and how to ensure that you are seen doing your job. The task is assigned to you, get it done when it's supposed to be done, not only when you know that there's going to be a specific reward hanging out there before you go ahead to get the job done. So whether there's a reward or no reward, because you've committed or you've taken on the responsibility of carrying out a particular task, ensure that you get it properly delivered.
Mm. All right, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Mr. Emmanuel Michael. Our time is fast spent, so we need to quickly get to our game segment on this program. I call it the influence or manipulation game. I'll read out some classic Lagos office scenarios, and of course, you tell us, is this professional wisdom or corporate wahala? Is this influence or is this manipulation? So I'll start with this. So when you
Okay.
always copy your boss in emails, even if it's not necessary, just to stay on their radar, is this influence or manipulation?
Influence. I don't see it as manipulation because there are some purpose for copying your boss, especially when you are sending the message to someone outside the department. It's good for your boss to be in the loop so that in case something goes wrong, he can jump in to help salvage the situation. So usually when my team members send out mail, I always insist that they put me in copy. I might not react, but in case something goes wrong, I can jump in to put out the fire. So I don't see that as manipulation. That's influence for me.
Okay, so when you bring suya and malt to the office on Friday evenings, but only for the management staff.
Now.
But is
it at work?
But it's even only for the management staff.
Finish, let me see. Finish it, let me see.
All right,
but it's all manipulation for me.
Manipulation, right? Yeah. What if you deliberately form tight friendship with the receptionist so that she can tip you off when HR or MD is around?
That's manipulation. That's not influence.
Yes. Okay, so when you post your team's success on LinkedIn, but mention only your name in the caption, is this personal branding or is it a selfish move?
It's selfish because if you post your team, you should be able to show what contribution every other person made to make that a success.
All right. What if you laugh at every joke the CEO cracks, even the dead on arrival ones, and you call it relationship building? Is this influence or manipulation?
Laugh at every joke. You can laugh at some joke, but not every joke.
Even the ones that are not funny. I mean,
so the ones that are funny, yes, but if you laugh at funny, not funny, that is going beyond the normal. So I think that's manipulation, yes.
What if you purposely delay sending an important report because you know your colleague needs it to shine in a meeting? Is this sabotage? Manipulation.
Yes, manipulation, serious sabotage, because you want to frustrate the whole thing.
Okay, so what if you take over a colleague's task, you do it better, then you copy the manager without informing the colleague?
That's manipulation. That's manipulation. You need to carry the colleague along if you've done their task,
All right, what if you regularly offer to pray or lead devotion at work, but only when senior management is watching?
But the problem is, but only when senior management is watching. So that becomes manipulation. If you take away that part, then it might not be.
All right, then what if you find a job vacancy in another department, but you didn't tell your colleagues about it?
The question is, how did you find it? Normally, job vacancy in other departments are usually published. So how did you find it? So you can apply. It's your own personal career growth. So my career growth might not be my colleague's career growth. So I don't see anything wrong in me just applying without sharing that I've seen it, because it's expected that the same portal where I saw it is where everyone is supposed to see it.
What about this? When you only follow up on tasks when you know the MD will be copied on your mail?
So if you have to wait for the MD to be copied before you follow up on your task, it means that employee is a lazy employee, very lazy. So he waits until he or she sees that the senior person is copied before they get their job done. They are not a productive worker, as far as I'm concerned. They're not a good worker.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Michael, for your time on Directions today.
Okay, so before I drop off, let me just add some closing thoughts.
Yes.
So I just want to recap to say that how you can become professional by building influence is, one, you need to practice what I call self-awareness. Regularly ask yourself, is this aligned with my value? Okay. 2, lead with integrity, even if no one is watching, just like we've said. 3, be consistent. Okay. Influence grows over time. It's not overnight. So you have to be consistent in what you're doing. The moment you stop means there's eye service there, there's manipulation. And then you also need to develop your emotional intelligence. The emotional intelligence is the superpower of the workplace. So influence is earned while manipulation is imposed. You don't need to crawl to climb. Rise with your values intact, and you will stay at the top longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We look forward to hearing from you again. My name is Olaoluwa Awe, the News Lady, and it's been Directions on Lagos Talks 91.3. Stick around.